Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anne-Sophie. I'm a knitter from Belgium and this is episode 7 of the Candid Knitting Podcast. So it's been a whole month of knitting, and to be honest with you, this whole month of knitting to me kind of feels like 3 months of knitting and 1 week of knitting in one. I have an atrocious amount of whips to talk through today and only one finished object. This may come as a little bit of a surprise to some of you, but this is a finished Sporty Knit Skort handmade by Florence. I did not knit this, I knit like this much of the skirt in the past month. In fact, it's not really a sporty knit skort for me, it's more like a sporty knit skirt because, as you can see very well, I did not include the inset shorts in my project. So normally this is supposed to be like a very sporty skort with a stockinette waistband and ribbing that spreads out and increases so beautifully all the way down that the skort looks kind of pleated, and you're supposed to have these inset shorts on the inside. I chose not to include the inset shorts after I finished this skirt because it does really irritate me quite a lot. It's a wool alpaca yarn that I chose to use, and I don't think I'll be able to wear this as like a lounge skirt. I think I'll only be able to tolerate this with like dark tights during fall and winter. So the shorts really didn't seem fully necessary to me. I think I might use the yarn I have left over to knit like a vest to wear over top of this, like a simple v-neck vest or something, so that it doesn't touch my skin, but I could wear it like maybe even with this t-shirt, like over a t-shirt, so that it's not touching me, but it fits in perfectly with the skirt. This skirt has German short rows in the back, as you can see here at the bottom, to make, well, the skirt not look obscene in the back, essentially. And it's a pretty fun and gorgeous design. I'll include some b-roll of me wearing this so you can see how cute and adorable this looks when worn, and I'll talk a bit more about the pattern. The Sporty Knit Skort is a pattern by Florence Miller, who goes by Handmade by Florence on Instagram and YouTube, and writes really nice patterns. This is supposed to be a skirt, as I said, but I knit a skirt. It's knit up at a DK weight and supposed to have a gauge of 23 stitches by 30 rows with 3.5mm needles, which is also what I used. The sizes available range from size A to a size L to fit natural waist measurements of approximately 63 to 118 centimeters. I knit the size C, I think, because I fall in between the size B and the size C for my waist measurements, but as a tummy girly, I tend to get quite bloated, so I thought, wouldn't really matter, or wouldn't be a bad idea to go like up a size. And I have quite broad hips compared to my waist, so I thought probably the size C will be fitting me better. The suggested yarn is Drops Puna, which is, I believe, an alpaca wool yarn. I'm not sure, but I think she said somewhere that she chose this yarn for the drape. But she, like Florence, knit a second sample in Drops Soft Tweed in the color pepparkorn, which is a gorgeous heathered charcoal, and also what I used. I believe the version she knit also doesn't include the inset shorts because she wanted to wear this with tights in the fall and winter, And I should have listened to her and not knit the shorts, but I love having shorts in my skirts. Like, I own several mini skirts with built-in shorts, so I thought I would have loved this, but yeah. I mean, I think I would have loved this, but unfortunately my body doesn't love the yarn. The yarn comes in cute little balls like this. It's, yeah, quite beautifully tweedy, as the name suggests, soft tweed. It feels really soft. It really is soft. It's just also scratchy. So it's like soft but scratchy tweed to me. The contents are 50% wool, 25% alpaca, and 25% viscose. And one ball of 50 grams gives you 130 meters. I have about 3 or 4 left of this. So wait, let me check how much I used exactly for my skirt. I knit it exactly to pattern. Yeah, I had 8 skeins in stash, and I think I used about 5.5-ish. So I think I should be able to whip out a vest with my leftovers, which would be pretty cute because I could even wear it like over my anthracite charcoal colored garments and pair them with like a black jean, a wide leg jean. I think that would look really cute. So I don't think the yarn is going to go to waste by me not knitting the shorts, so that's positive, I suppose. I think that's everything on my finished object. Isn't that, Lila? Yes, I think so. So let's get into my 99% finished object. And that is a tiny bit frumpy basic boat neck tank by Maddie from True Summer Knits, also here on YouTube. This is a test knit and it has just been published. This is Maddie's first pattern, and honestly, from this design, you can't really tell. It's marvelously constructed, so well done. She really did her research. As you can see from how it's rumpled up, I've actually worn it. Lilla, don't lick the chair! She's licking the chair right next to the microphone. This is a very candid episode of the Candid Knitting podcast, which is why I called it this, but you're really putting the name to good use today, Lila. So the basic boat neck tank has just been released on Ravelry. I will try to fully finish it by the time I upload this video and include some b-roll of me having fully finished it. But the problem right now is I had to redo the I-cord edges on the armholes and the neckline a second time, and I will need to redo them a third time because of some, like there was a little hiccup in the pattern with the needle size that you needed to use to pick up stitches for the edges and to knit the I-cords actually. So I knit the I-cord in the same needle size as you knit the body of the garment, but it was supposed to be one needle size down, and I think that is what gave me some issues with the fit, because at first I knit it by picking up all of the stitches on the sides, and then it was a bit loose and the front of the boat neck started rolling open a tiny bit, even though Maddie has included these folded edges, which, yeah, due to a special way of picking up stitches, you actually don't get any folding edges. Like, look at how beautifully this is sitting. Like, it's sitting really nice and straight. It actually works, but my edge was just a bit too loose for it to work for me because I used the wrong needle size. And then I had redone the edges, but again with the same needle size because we hadn't, like, nobody had the eagle's eye necessary to notice that there must have been a mistake in the pattern with the needle size you needed to use to pick up, because I just followed the pattern and I thought it was correct, but it wasn't. Yeah, there was a little hiccup there, but to redo it now and use the recommended needle size, which will probably look a lot better, but yeah, because now this is, I don't know where to start. This is too tight now, so is this. There's quite some puckering. I also didn't do the best job because I made the mistake of picking up at the front of the neckline and not at the back, so that looks really not neat over here, so I really want to redo that anyway. I'm very glad I didn't like even the ends of the yarn yet, because then I can easily undo that. But yeah, I'll keep you posted on when I redo it, and I think it's going to fit perfectly when I do, because it did fit wonderfully before. It fit, like, it felt nice, it fell nice and straight on my shoulders like this, the first time I did the edges, and now the second time around there's like quite some puckering, and it's like a bit tighter here, so I think it'll look perfect if I redo it by picking up just a little less stitches than I should. Not all stitches, I don't think I'm going to do all the stitches. I'm just going to skip a few maybe, and yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be some trial and error. I've been postponing doing this because I need to finish my other whip, for which I'm using 2.5mm needles right now, and I don't want to buy new ones just to do this I-cord trim, because I can like still enjoy the look of this as I have it now. I did modify the hem of the garment to have a I-cord hem, or an I-cord bind off, instead of a folded hem, which I think looks really beautiful and ties in with the rest of the garment perfectly. In my last video, I compared these decreases to the decreases on my 9 p.m. tank, and I thought the decreases on my 9 p.m. tank kind of looked better, and apparently Maddie ended up changing her mind and switching out the decreases in the pattern in the end to look more like the ones on the 9 p.m. tank, so the decreases are going to look different than they do on mine if you knit the pattern. I think when I knit another one of these, I'm also going to substitute those decreases, and I might actually knit a folded hem for that one. So some specs on the pattern. It calls for a light fingering weight yarn. It suggests knitting for olive merino or cotton merino or an alternative, and you should hit a gauge of 28 stitches by 48 rows with 2.75mm needles. The pattern sizes range from an extra small to a 5XL, and the pattern is available at a price on Ravelry, but she uses discount codes to instill sort of a pay what you want system. So you can get a 50% discount code or a 100% discount code on Ravelry in the pattern description, which is pretty nice. I used Knitting for Olive merino for this top because I wanted it to be like a pretty fall staple that I could wear to work with like jeans or trousers, or I have like this black suit from Monkey that would look really nice with this dusty aqua underneath. I think it would really make it more elegant and more cool to wear it with a fun aqua color. And the Knitting for Olive merino comes in 50-gram balls and gives you 250 meters. And take a good look at this, because this looks very different from what it looks like online on the website. On the website, the Dusty Aqua looks very green, but in my experience, it's like a true blue-green. Like, I couldn't tell you whether it's more blue or more green in real life, and I absolutely love that about the color of this yarn. I think I will for sure be knitting more things in this color in the future, and I also very much recommend this pattern and recommend you head over to Maddie's Ravelry to grab it. Honestly, the edges and stuff here for me are really just a testament of me and my gauge issues for things like this. They're not a testament to the pattern, so don't let that scare you off or anything. I'm the only one who has like these issues. So yeah, and even with the tiny bit of puckering, I think they still look great. I think I'm being a bit of a perfectionist here, but you know, that's just who I am. So we're gonna fix it once I have 2.5mm needles free. I still have more than enough yarn left. I think I used like 1.7 or 1.8 balls of the merino, so it's a pretty cheap project for having such a luxurious yarn. And yeah, I have nothing but amazing things to say about it. I hope to be able to wear it in my next podcast episode to show off the gorgeous fit with the new I-cord edges. Hey! Now I have some more updates on whips that you've seen on here a few times. My CAMPANULA tee is honestly nearly there. It's looking so tiny. Our cleaning help was looking at me knit this, and she was like, "What is this? Is this for a doll?" Because it's just all scrunched up. But I promise you, this stretches quite nicely, as you can see. This is a test knit I am doing for Anna from Studie, and it is a gorgeous, gorgeous, thick fingering, sport weight cotton cashmere tee in this irregular rib pattern with a stunning saddle shoulder and contiguous knit yoke that looks absolutely amazing whenever I try it on, and these gorgeous ruffle edges on the neckline, like it's a mock neck, I would say, and on the sleeves. Look at that. It was so much work knitting these because you need to use a really, really small needle to bind off like a ton of stitches. But yeah, it's more than worth it to do that in the end because look at how cute this looks, and it hasn't even been blocked yet. All that I have left to do on this garment right now is I have to put an elastic in the neck to make it look better. Like as you can see, the back sticks up higher than the front, which is amazing because it has short rows, which are great for the fit. But so all I need to do is use a little elastic to make the front cinch in a bit more and make the ruffle look more like this one. And yeah, I've finished the decreases on the body, which, if I'm being honest, look really good on one side and really bad on the other because I kind of messed up on one of them and forgot to decrease at one point and decreased once too many, and I don't know, I've been very distracted while knitting, but how good did these look though? How nice is this? It's so pretty. I also messed up on one of my sleeves. I tried a special little join or a new join that was shared in the test knitter group chat, but it didn't work out as I wanted it to. So I went in and I dropped all of these stitches all the way down to here. It looked like a mess. It was a mess. It took me hours to fix, especially in this irregular rib pattern. It was just so hard to fix, and now the tension looks really uneven and a bit messy, and I'm a bit annoyed by that. So it's like, it's worse than what I started with. I shouldn't have done that. Because, like, especially compared to this sleeve, I mean, it's such a difference. I'll insert some pictures of me wearing it so you'll really see how I messed up. And I'm just sharing this so you can use it as a cautionary tale to not always be such a huge Lila, why are you licking the chair? There's something wrong with this cat. What are you doing? You weirdo. Yeah, so after that little intermezzo, I wanted to share this because this one sleeve is not going to look as perfect as the other one in the end, and I guess it's not always a good idea to let your perfectionism take over. Yeah, but I just have like, I think 10 to 15 centimeters left to go on the body, on these 2.5 millimeter Addy lace needles that I'm using. So this is technically an ad because the yarn I'm using is partly sponsored for the test knit, and it is this gorgeous bcgarn summer in cashmere yarn. It is a 90% cotton and 10% cashmere yarn. Per 50-gram ball you get 165 meters, which makes it like a sport weight, I think. It's the color 3 powder, and I think it is absolutely stunning. Online, it looked a lot more dusty and grayed out and dark than it does in real life. In real life, I feel like it's looking really lilac-y purple, like a dusty lilac-y purpley pink. And I'm not mad about it because I think it's going to suit me very, very well. And I can't wait to finish this and to finally officially congratulate Anna with her pattern because this is just a masterpiece, and the test knit was so fun and it's also professional, and I don't know, I love the people in the group chat. Everyone was so sweet and kind and nice, and I don't know, all of my test knits have been wonderful so far this summer and fall, I guess. But yeah, I can't recommend this pattern enough. It should be coming out, I think close to the time when I publish this, I don't think I'll be finishing the entire garment before the deadline because I still have quite some centimeters to do on the body and my hands have been hurting a lot, but I am going to be trying my best. But stay tuned, keep an eye on my Instagram because I will be sharing when this pattern goes live, and I strongly recommend everyone to go check this out because yeah, I don't know, it's gorgeous. I also strongly recommend the yarn. Like, since this is technically an ad, might as well promote it. It is such a nice yarn. It's knitting up beautifully. Like, this is not blocked yet, and it's gonna look even better once it's blocked, and like the little bit of cashmere fibers in there are gonna like fluff up and make this even more luxurious. Like, yeah, it's a bit of an expensive yarn, but I can't recommend it enough. And stay tuned for the pattern release and for my next episode with this finished object, hopefully. Well, probably. You can expect the finished object in my next podcast, I'm quite sure. So, another whip that you have seen before is, again, a very frumpled up one. This is my blouse #1 light. I have talked about this extensively in my other podcast, so if you want more information on this, you can check it out there. I just wanted to pop it back in to tell you that this guy is going into hibernation for a while. I'm not sure if I'm going to frog it or finish it. Well, no, I am sure I'm going to frog this like in its entirety because as you can see, I finished the body, but I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see it. Like, it's full on fall. The lighting here is starting to be dreadful, so I got a little light to make it look better. I hope that helps, but I'm not sure it will sufficiently. But yeah, maybe, I hope you can see. The bottom, I joined a new ball, and I didn't do helical knitting, or I didn't alternate skeins, because I thought that was going to be fine. It ended up not being fine, and you can really see the difference between these two cakes of my hand-dyed suri. So I have 3 hanks of the hand-dyed suri. This is some residue of the first one. This is the second one. You can really see the difference here. Like, this one is really blue, this one is really yellowy. I think even with helical knitting, these two differ so much that I'm quite sure they'll just end up looking like stripes. So while I really want this garment in this yarn, I fear I'm gonna have to find another suri or mohair to knit the blouse #1 in a fluffy yarn because I don't think this is working as it should. I have the third one right here. It's kind of looking like, I don't know with which one this is going to fit in the most. But yeah, I don't know what's up with these things. I don't think I've fully figured out hand-dyed yarn yet. This is the prettiest hand-dyed yarn I've ever used. I am so excited about this. It is just, look at this. It has blues, it has pink, purple shine in there, it has some green. This one has a bit more yellow. But yeah, it's just the most beautiful hand-dyed yarn I've ever used. I'm absolutely obsessed with it, and I don't want to use it in a project where I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be fully happy with the outcome, you know? So I think I might be able to make this yarn shine more if I frog this and use the yarn as like added on to something else, like a light, like a white or a beige or a light blue yarn, and then alternate cakes for a different garment, maybe like a turtleneck sweater or something, or a cardigan. I think that would look beautiful. Maybe something with cables so the differences in the yarn colors don't show that much. But yeah, I don't really like the way this is looking, and it makes me really sad because any other part of this I love. It's fitting really well, it's looking gorgeous. It's just I haven't figured out hand-dyed yarns fully, and it's making me a little bit sad, unfortunately. But yeah, so just popping in to say this is going into hibernation. I'm gonna see what I'm gonna do with it. But I still absolutely love the yarn. I just want to use it for something special. This is Storybook Suri by Through the Wardrobe Yarn Co. in the color Diamond of the First Water. It's a 74% brushed baby suri alpaca and a 20% silk. It's the softest, most beautiful hand-dyed yarn I've ever used. I'm gonna need to make a more conscious decision of what I want to use it for and think through really well whether I fully like what this is looking like, this garment, or not. You know, maybe if I let it rest for a little while, I might actually start liking the ombre effect and start embracing it, but I don't think so. If anyone has experience with something like this, please let me know. If you have an opinion or you're like quite sure of what I should be doing with this, let me know in the comments below. I'm just currently a bit bummed out and just gonna let this rest for a second while I work on something else. The lighting is really off because it started to thunderstorm a little bit, but I moved my extra light a little bit farther away. It hopefully doesn't disturb on this side anymore, but I don't know, I really want to film this video and the lighting in my home is going to be a problem all winter, I think. So for now, we're just gonna try and figure it out like this. I hope it's not too annoying or disturbing to any of you because I have quite some fun things to talk about still. I got accepted for yet another wonderful test knit that I didn't think I'd ever be accepted for, and that is for the Haru Cardigan by Knits by Summer. This is the gorgeous little swatch I knit for it because it is going to be a V-neck all over thinly cabled cardigan and it looks amazing. The yarn I used fluffs up beautifully and I don't know how well you'll be able to see that on camera, but I just wanted to show it off for you. I hope you can see the difference in the fluffiness. I've knit the back panel already and the right front panel, and I've just picked up stitches for the left front panel. Ta-da! It's looking really cute. It's going to be an oversized V-neck cardigan with a double knit button band and just this gorgeous, scrumptious cabled pattern all over. It is a very involved knit, but I've learned that it's also a very addictive knit. I can't seem to stop knitting on this. Even though my hands hurt, I just want to keep going because it is so fun and so addictive. I'd been eyeing the Haru sweater for a while already, and so when she came out with the test knit, I was just like, you know what? Can't hurt to sign up. I'll probably never get picked anyway, and I did end up being so lucky as to get picked, so I get to knit this early, which is really cool. I've been wanting a cabled cardigan in pink for the longest time, so I'm glad I finally get the chance to cast that on. It's knit on 4mm needles, and it is of course a drop shoulder, as you can have probably gathered from the fact that I knit the back panel first and then picked up stitches for the left and the right front. So the pattern suggests a fingering weight held with a lace weight, and most of the testers are knitting this with a mohair, but I really felt like trying out an alpaca, and I think a V-neck cardigan is a perfect place to start. Because I've really wanted to try substituting a mohair for a lace weight alpaca to see how I basically tolerate it. It doesn't seem like I'm tolerating it very well because the blocked swatch does irritate my neck a little bit, but I think for a cardigan, I should be perfectly safe. The holst garn Supersoft that I'm using does not feel soft while you're using it at all. It's actually quite dense, thick, a bit, yeah, it's rustic, rough yarn, but it softens up a lot with blocking and I suppose also with use, which is just amazing because I think I'm going to have a really durable cardigan in this fabric. The holst garn Supersoft I'm using is in the color Sweet Pea. It is a 100% wool and you get 287 meters per 50 grams, so it is a very light fingering weight. was a bit nervous about that, but the alpaca that I'm holding it with, the holst garn Titekaka, fluffs it up gorgeously, so that really isn't a problem. The Titekaka I'm using is a 100% alpaca. You get 400 meters per 50 grams, as you do with most lightweight lace weight alpacas, and I'm using the color Heather Rose. It's so soft. Again, yeah, one of those yarns that's just incredibly soft to hold, but a bit scratchy. The sweet pea is very grayed out pink, but it's heathered with some warmer tones in there as well. There's some warmer purple, there's some yellow in there, some orange, and there's even like the odd red or brown speck in the fabric, which I think looks really cute. I'm usually not the biggest fan of these kinds of yarns and how they knit up in a stockinette fabric, but I'm loving how this is looking cabled up. I think, honestly, I made the perfect choice for this sweater for me, and it's gonna look awesome, and I'm gonna love, love, love wearing this item when I finish it. I do have some notes or some thoughts to share on this test knit with you. I fear I may have signed up a bit too enthusiastically, and thinking, I'll probably never get picked anyway is like kind of a toxic thing to think about yourself, first of all, I realized, but second of all, you know, you shouldn't sign up just because you think, oh, let's just see if I get picked. I don't know. I mean, that's not what I did, but I don't think I thought this through sufficiently when I signed up. I, for one, don't think I fully checked how much time we would be getting for this knit. I don't think I fully really looked at the cables up close and realized how much cabling I would have to be doing for this garment. It's a lot of cabling. Like you're cabling every other row. It's really rough on your hands, and then especially since I've been knitting this Campanula tee which has been rough on my hands, I could have anticipated this was going to be tough too, and I didn't check out like the stitch pattern sufficiently. I didn't look at how long we would be getting for the test knit, which is just 7 weeks, which is actually not a lot. And I've been feeling really like a bit bad about myself actually for how I've been hurting my hands, and I don't know, kind of almost I feel like I'm gonna be rushing through this, while for this kind of knit, I prefer to really enjoy the process. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just something I'm gonna need to take into account a lot more in the future, because I was so shocked and so happy and so grateful to be picked, but then like a week later I started thinking, oh no, this is not gonna be enough time. Am I really sure that I can do this and finish this on time? Because like people in the test knit group, they're all so friendly, so kind, they're knitting such beautiful versions, but they're all knitting so fast, and like I generally think I'm quite a fast knitter, but for this test knit I certainly am not. I don't know what is up with that, but I don't know, it's kind of hurt my ego a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but it's mostly like I don't know, it's taught me that I need to think things through a little bit more before I start test knits. Also, because there's like several things about the design and the pattern that I'm not sure are 100% my jam, or like how I would like my design to be if I would knit this. And usually I'm like very picky when I pick out patterns to knit. Like I only pick things that are 100% my thing, and if they're not, I modify them. And there's like some things about this pattern that I'd like to modify to fit my style personally a bit more, and I can't because it's a test knit, and I want to do right by Summer, who was so kind to choose me for her test knit, and test the pattern as she likes it and as she intends it to look. But for example, like when you pick up stitches at the shoulder seam, they don't, like the cables don't continue. When I was doing this, I thought, oh, I must have done something wrong. It must be a mistake. And I was ready to text the chat, but then I realized, you know what, let's just go with it. This pattern has been tested before because it's probably basically the same yoke or part of the pattern as for the Haru sweater and the Haru vest that have been tested before. So I thought, you know, there's probably not going to be a mistake in this. So let's just work through this. It's probably going to be because once you join at the underarms, the stitch pattern won't make sense, right? So yeah, that's what I thought, and I rolled with it, and I ended up being right because someone else ended up texting in the tester group chat being like, is this a mistake? Did I do something wrong, or is this how it's supposed to look like? And Summer was like, no, this is for sure a pattern feature. So I thought that was pretty funny because I had that same reflex. But honestly, I think personally I would have solved that by maybe doing like a cable along which you increase for the shoulder slope. Of course, I don't know enough about designing to really be talking about that, but yeah, I think the slope is pretty deep too. I'm not sure how that's going to fit me, but you know, the bright side of all this is that I get to try out new things, right? You know, maybe I will prefer this fit over other patterns that I've knit before with a less steep shoulder slope, and I'll be like, hey, thank you so much, Anne-Sophie from the past, for making me test knit this and try out new things. You never know, but yeah, I just think for this sweater, I love how like cardigan. I love how minimalistic this design is. I love how clean it is. It really, really speaks to me. But I think, and I do think like a cable along which you increase would kind of cut through the like perfect clean and crispness of the design. But yeah, I don't know. I think it would also look really cool to increase along a cable in the front. Yeah, I think that would look really, really, really neat, but it would give you for sure a completely different look than what the design looks like now. It would just be more of a me look, and of course, this is not my design, but I'm just a tiny bit disappointed at myself that I didn't think this through more, and that for such a labor of love cardigan that I'm going to knit up in 7 weeks, that I didn't think a bit more about whether it was going to be 100% my style or not. But I am happy that I'm getting to try out new things because you know what, if I actually end up really liking this, and you know, I don't mind this as much as I think if I had used a different yarn, this shoulder line would, I think it would catch my eye more if I used a different yarn. I think the variegation and the fluffiness and the rusticness of this yarn kind of hides this a lot. I'm yapping and I'm babbling, and I absolutely don't want to offend anyone, and especially not Summer, because she made the most beautiful design. I mean, this is a marvel. Like, the Haru design line is just marvelous and gorgeously done, and I'm in awe, and I could never do those things myself. I just think personally I need to think things through a lot more before I, yeah, apply for a test knit, and I need to look into design features a bit more and details to figure out whether I will actually like this garment or not. This has been a problem with me in the past with like my Ingrid sweater and everything as well. Like, I just cast something on because I'm super excited and I don't fully think through whether this is going to be something for me. But you know, now that I am doing this test knit, and I am incredibly, incredibly lucky to be doing this test knit, don't get me wrong, and I'm incredibly excited, and I do love like everything about this pattern. I was just nitpicking for a minute, but I thought it would be interesting to share my thoughts because it is like a good lesson for me to learn, you know, that I don't need to jump into things too enthusiastically. On the other hand, I think this test knit is going to be a lesson for me in perfectionism and criticism and style, because I do think I'm going to love this garment with all my heart, and in the end, this is not going to matter one bit, I bet. I think I'm just hung up over this right now, and then in a few months, I'll be wearing this cardigan all the time and I'll just have fully forgotten about it. Wow. This is a huge brainstorm, rambling type situation, but I thought I'd share that with you. I am incredibly excited to be knitting this up and to be keeping you guys posted on my progress. I bet next time you see me, I'll have fully finished the yoke and even part of the body. I hope to already be on one of the sleeves by the next time I sit down to talk to you and have some more information on how I feel about the tiny design features that at this moment don't excite me 100%. If I don't talk about them in the next video, I will have forgotten about them by then, and that will tell you what you need to know as well. Yeah, in any case, with all the test knits I'm doing, thanks so much to the designers for picking me. I'm having so much fun knitting these things up, being part of test knit group chats. It's like, I don't know, it's nice. I love the accountability and needing to focus on one project or like a little less projects than I usually have going at the same time. It's fun. I also don't think I would be finishing like intensive knits like the Campanula tee and the Haru cardigan as quickly as I will be finishing them now. I think if I would knit those by myself, they would take me at least 5 months to finish, and that's not an ideal situation either. So like these test knits will have been or prove to be a blessing for me, I'm quite sure, and I don't know, I'm just so excited to get to be a part of those things and those wonderful design processes because I don't know, I think what these people create are just marvels, really, and I think designers are so, so, so cool, and yeah, congrats to all three of the designers that I've been testing for making such gorgeous, wonderful patterns, and yeah, just giving people such wonderful test knitting experiences as well. Sorry for being cheesy. Now, I also have cast on another new thing. If you watched my fall knitting plans, you will know that I planned on knitting a hanstholm sweater by Petite Knit for my partner Romeo, and we have a yoke. Ta-da! In my fall knitting plans video, I said that we would be going to our local yarn store the day after filming to pick out a yarn for his sweater. The Hanstholm sweater by Petite Knit calls for sunless garn Peer Gynt, which is a 100% Norwegian wool DK weight yarn, and I didn't think my partner would be tolerating that very well, and I made him feel through all of my different garments that I've knit before, and he really, really loved the feel of the Knitting for Olive merino. I thought he'd prefer the cotton merino, but no, he loved the feel of the Knitting for Olive merino, and we decided to hold that double, and that's been giving us this. It's looking amazing, very frumpled up because I haven't touched it in like a week because I've been knitting vigorously on my test knits to try and get them finished on time. But whenever I'm stuck on a test knit or my brain just doesn't want to knit something in a special stitch pattern because I'm going to be making mistakes, I pick this guy up because it's just pure stockinette at this point because I finished the raglan, which is beautiful by the way. It's just a raglan along this one beautiful raglan increase line. I think I said in my fall knitting plans that we had looked at yarn colors online and I thought he was going to be choosing the dusty violet colorway of the Knitting for Olive merino, but he ended up finding that a bit too purple, and he was wearing like a dusty dark blue t-shirt and immediately gravitated towards this yarn, which actually exactly matched that color. This is the Knitting for Olive merino, as I said, in dusty petroleum blue. It is the most stunning dark blue anthracite colorway I have ever seen in my life, and it suits Romeo so well. I feel like a broken record, but the Knitting for Olive yarn gives you 250 meters per 50 grams, and it is a 100% merino. So we've been holding it double. It's, I think, a bit thinner than the Peer Gynt will be, which will make for a bit of a thinner, less, like more airy, flowy fabric than the design is intended to have, but that's 100% going to be Romeo's thing, I think. It's looking amazing. It's been really fun to knit on. I'm loving the Knitting for Olive merino held double to get a DK combo, both knitting it up and with the fabric you're getting. I am a tiny bit worried though, but before I talk about that more, I'll give you a bit more specs on the pattern. So the hanstholm sweater is a pattern by Petite Knit. It suggests to use sunless garn peer gynt to knit up a crew neck 1x1 rib raglan sweater with evidently a DK weight at a gauge of 21 stitches by 28 rows on 4mm needles. The pattern comes in sizes ranging from an extra small to a 4XL, and after measuring Romeo and his favorite sweater, we decided to cast on a size S, which will give us a finished bust circumference of 104 centimeters. I met gauge, or I am meeting gauge exactly, but I'm not sure I am. What I mean by that is, when I measure my gauge here and on my gauge swatch, I meet gauge precisely, exactly as it should be, both row gauge and stitch gauge. But when I look at this sweater looks like it's being knit for a child and not a grown man. Romeo actually tried this on right after I joined at the underarm. It fits extremely snugly. Like, it fits, but you need to stretch it to make it look good, if you know what I mean. The underarm is like quite tight. So I was just contemplating doing a mid-project block. I've never done a mid-project block before, but I fear I might have to, unless you have experience with this, like either this yarn or this pattern running very small. If you feel like letting me know about your experience, if you have this, you would be helping me out so much, because I don't know, I might be able to figure out whether it's the yarn that will just stretch a lot when blocking, or whether it's the pattern that runs small, or if no one seems to have any experience with this, maybe it's a me problem, and then I'll for sure be doing a mid-project block. But for now, the child-sized sweater is looking a bit weird and making me worry a tiny bit, you know? Yeah. So please, if you have more information or any experience that you want to share, please feel free to share it with me. It would be a huge help to help me figure out what to do about this. Now, I also cast on the socks that I was going to knit for my grandfather, as I talked about in my fall knitting plans, if you've seen that. The I'm So Basic Socks pattern by Summer Lee, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. I'd cast on the extra large size, but it was too big for my grandpa when he tried it on. So sitting there chatting to him and my grandma, I cast on another one and cast on 62 stitches instead of 72. Wow, I can't even count now. 62 stitches instead of 72 stitches for the size large. And I only noticed when I knit half of the stitches, and then started the heel flap, which halfway through the heel flap I realized this is looking really tiny. It is the smallest heel flap that ever heel flapped. When my grandpa tried these on, he was like, geez, what happened here? Yeah, I basically cast on from my size instead of his. So I just cut that off. I didn't bother frogging. I have 2 skeins of this Arwetta, Focalana Arwetta sock yarn, which is an 80% merino, superwash merino, and a 20% nylon sock yarn, and an absolute blessing to knit with. This stuff is amazingly soft, so nice to knit with, so squishy. It's a dream. It's in the slate color. I bought it at my local yarn store when I was visiting to get Romeo his yarn for his sweater. And so now I did cast on the size large for my grandpa, and it is looking accurately sized now. On a brighter note, I did change the 1x1 rib, and I'm knitting 2x2 rib instead now, and I think it just looks so much better. I'm absolutely loving how that looks. I knit it just the tiniest bit longer too. My grandpa agrees that it looks better, and it's going to be a nice little fun addition in the end, and I don't know, makes it a bit less sad that I had to restart, because we have this prettier edge now that cinches in beautifully too, which we love. I'm knitting this on my 2.25mm Chow Goose, as you can see, which are absolutely amazing for magic loop. They don't twist or anything. They have like this very strong metallic-y, I don't know, cable. This has just been my project on the go, and I've not been away from home that often lately. So yeah, it's just in my tiny little Dilla and Camilla wildflower project bag, and I carry it with me whenever I go outside, and I'm gonna continue knitting on it whenever I go outside, but that just isn't too often lately. I do hope I'll have these socks finished by my next podcast episode, and I'm gonna say that out loud now to kind of motivate myself to get that finished actually. So yeah, those are my grandpa's socks. I do have a few acquisitions to share. Most of them I've already shown you, like my holst garn yarn for my stunning and super awesome test knit for Knits by Summer, and Romeo's Knitting for Olive Merino in Dusty Petroleum Blue for his hanstholm sweater that I just talked to you about. But I also got this Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair at my local yarn store. In my fall knitting plans, I talked about how I wanted to get some like 5 skeins in Knitting for Olive limestone, which is the new grayer version of their putty, but they didn't yet stock that limestone. I don't think they had yet gotten their order in for their fall drop of Knitting for Olive yarns, and they still had some putty. So I didn't end up getting the new grayer limestone yarn. I got the old version. I got the putty. And I was so excited to get some of that because I think it looks beautiful and it's a beautiful mohair. And I'm almost sad I'm not knitting like a cumulus plus out of this. It feels like almost wrong to have the old putty instead of the new limestone. But yeah, I don't know. I am quite sure I'll be using it with the Noro Silk Garden Sock Solo in the color Omatama that I have. But I don't know, it's just pretty cool that I managed to get a hold of some putty instead of limestone. It's really pretty, and if I do come across it sometime in the future online, I might get some more putty to knit like a little, sorry, mohair itch, to knit like a little blouse or something. I should check out the limestone in real life first before I judge that new color though, but I think this is a really pretty cream. It's like marzipan's grayed out, like lighter little sibling. It looks pretty. It's so soft. I'm very excited to use this with my Noro yarn. And yeah, that's that. Oh no, I got this bag of acrylic wool blend yarn. I have 5 huge chunky skeins of this bulky weight yarn. I think it must be a worsted. I might use this for a blanket or something in the future. I can't believe my friend gave this to me. She started knitting and she never really finished any projects, I think, and just never really knit again. So, oh yeah, it's 170 meters per 100 grams. That's what it says. Oop! But so it's this gray wool alpaca blend, and she gifted it to me, and I think I might actually make like a little blanket for their cat and then a matching blanket for my cat or something with it to thank her for sharing this yarn with me because it's pretty cool. It's like the perfect home accessory yarn. It's a nice color. It's like a sweater quantity, but I don't think this color is my color exactly. So I would use it for like a home accessory, like a blanket or something, or pillows. In any case, they just bought a house, so I could make them like a little housewarming gift with this. I think that would be really cute to do, but that'll probably only be for this winter because she's a colleague. She's defending her PhD this winter as well, and I'm also knitting her a sweater this winter, so it's gonna be a lot of gift knitting already, so I might wait to cast something on with this, but I don't know. It's a nice, fun idea to have. I think we managed to get through it all. If you have any input on like my child-sized sweater or maybe what I should be doing with this guy, like frog it, keep it, I don't know. Please let me know. Tell me what to do. Tell me what you think. Feel free to let me know what you're working on currently. I always love to get comments like that. If you have any other input, just feel free to hit me up in my Instagram DMs or chat to me in the comments below. I just always love getting in touch with you guys instead of just talking to like a camera, you know? As always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and get to enjoy some lovely knitting time, and I hope to see you back for my next video. Bye bye.